So Maren Morris says she's going to stick around in country music after all. And when I heard that, I was glad to hear it, because when I first talked on this subject, I said that country music's not really a genre you can walk away from. You know, I completely understood her sentiment as to why she would want to walk away, and I understand why she wouldn't want to be associated with certain artists. But you can't leave it to the bigots and the bullshit, you know. You can't let the assholes just overrun and take the thing over. You have to stick around and put your own stamp on it and just let the chips fall where they may. For a long time, I got caught up in the whole debate about what is and what isn't country music. And for years, I would walk around my part of the world, and when people would say, "What kind of music do you play?" I was always reluctant to just say country music. I felt like it needed some sort of precursor or some sort of explanation, because I didn't want to be lumped in with certain artists either. I didn't want someone thinking I made Jason Aldean or Florida Georgia Line kind of music, you know? I can't count the time someone would say, "What kind of music do you do?" I'd be like, "Well, it's kind of country." "Well, Jason Aldean?" "No." "Luke Bryan?" "No." "Toby Keith?" "No." "George Strait?" "No." "Waylon?" "Well, sort of, but not really." "Oh, okay." And then you play what you think is country music, and someone says, "Well, that's not really country music to me." Over the years, I realized that no matter what brand of country music you're playing, and no matter how you sound, there's always someone else out there that's going to say, "That ain't country." And that's been happening ever since the beginning of time. That was happening when Hank Williams was making country music. Someone somewhere was going, "Well, that's too bluesy. That's too rockabilly." When Merle Haggard and Buck Owens was doing it, "Well, they're from California. That don't count." When Waylon was doing it, "Well, it's too rock and roll." When Willie was doing it, "Oh, he's too big of a hippie." When George Strait was doing it, "Oh, well, hell, he's too slick." Garth Brooks was doing it, "Oh, hell, he's too pop." And I remember a time back in the 90s when people was like, "Yeah, Joe Diffie and Tracy Lawrence and shit like that, that ain't country music. Sammy Kershaw ain't country music." Fast forward these days, you walk into a bar and someone requests this country music, 9 times out of 10, they're asking for the 90s. And the biggest awakening moment that I had was, I never watch award shows, but there was one night in particular, I sat down and I started plowing through one. And I sat there and I was like, "God, this ain't country. God, this sucks. This is horrible." All of a sudden, Garth Brooks comes on, and I was like, "Damn, finally some country music." And I went, "Wait a minute. You just slapped yourself for saying that 15 years ago. What's wrong with you?" That's when I realized just what a bullshit argument that I'd been having for years. You know, I remember one night I was playing this dive bar, funny story. I was playing this dive bar in Jellicoe, Tennessee. We opened up with Johnny Cash, played some Waylon, did some Merle Haggard and Buck Owens and Hank Jr., Willie Nelson. We came off stage. This lady walked up to me and dead serious was like, "Do you boys know any country music?" And I was like, "Yeah, we've been playing it all night long. Where you been?" She said, "Well, no, that ain't really country music. I want to hear some Blake Shelton or some Keith Urban." And I laughed in her face. I said, "That ain't country. You're crazy." She said, "Well, it is to me." I said, "It ain't to me." And we went back and forth on that. I'm sure we both walked away saying the other one was a moron. But at the end of the day, when you look back at it, you realize that you kind of both were. Because country music is just something that you play, what you feel in your heart, and you just let the chips fall where they may. You know, there's no way that you can predict what someone's going to think is or isn't country, because people kind of gravitates to whatever it is they like about the genre. Me personally, I always liked country music that spoke to me and my struggles and my addictions and my heartaches. And then there was other people who just wanted background noise in the background just to drive to work every day. Some people just wanted something to work out at the gym. Some people just wanted something to bob their head to. And in the end of the day, they would go, "That's country music," because that's what it was to them. But I'm glad that Maren Morris ain't going to leave the genre, because really, I just don't think that music's not something you can't really switch. Like, to me, you just make your own music. And because now it's so overran and it's just so crossed now that no matter what genre you're trying to play, nothing's pure anymore. There's nothing real or true. It's just whatever is real and true to you, and whatever is real and true to the people who relate to it. And so I see so many people fall into the trap, and I did myself. I would have that same argument. And I would see guys go out here and grow their beard down to here, get them a leather guitar strap, a Fender Telecaster, phase shifter at their feet, and start singing real deep like this. And somebody somewhere go, "Right there's a real deal, man. That's a real country." Meanwhile, some dude put on a tight pair of Wranglers and a white shirt and a goofy-looking cowboy hat and played a bunch of fiddles and steels cranked up on 10, and there was somebody going, "Yeah, it's the real deal." And then someone goes, "Man, I love country music. That's all I listen to." And you get in their car and they're blasting Jelly Roll. So it's like, It's just whatever. You just make your own. You just make it and just let everybody else decide, because that's going to be an argument that's going to be happening long after we're all gone. I've had people tell me that I was the real deal, that I was real country music, and I've had people tell me that I was an abomination to it too. And that's when I started to change my perspective on a lot of it. If you'd have had this conversation with me, hell, 5 or 10 years ago, we'd be having a completely different conversation. I don't care one bit to show you clips from interviews 10 years ago where I said, that bullshit, there ain't country music. I play the real shit, by God. And then one day I just realized it's only real to the people who feels it.